We have seen in our previous video that we can add any three numbers in two ways. We can either add first and second number, then add the result that we get to the third number, or we can add the second and third numbers first and then add the result to the first number. Both give us the same answer. But why do they give us the same answer? This is because of the associative property of the whole numbers under addition. There is a simpler way to add these numbers. We know that 10 plus 8 is 18, pretty simple addition. 100 plus 19 is 119. Similarly, 220 plus 55 is 275. All these calculations are quite easy, aren't they? Why are these numbers so easy to add? Well, this is because of the presence of zeros in the end. That is, zeros at units, tenths and hundredths place. Yes, whenever there are zeros present at the end of the numbers, our calculation becomes a little easier. Something similar also happens when we are multiplying numbers. For example, how do we multiply 60 with 2? We only multiply 6 with 2 and write the 0 at the end of the value that we get. 6 times 2 is 12 and we write 0 in end to get 120. Now let's go back to our initial example. 54 plus 6 is 60 and it's very easy to add 60 with 58 as it has a 0. But in order to add them, we first need to bring 6 to the place of 58. And how do we do that? We can't just place 6 directly here. And even if we do that, we need a rule or property to justify it. What is that property of whole numbers which we can use to place 6 here? Yes, it's the commutative property of whole numbers. We use this property of whole numbers here and write the equation like this. 58 plus 6 is written as 6 plus 58. Alright then, can we add 54 and 6 now? Wait, we still need to do one more thing before adding this. And that is to put the bracket around numbers which we're adding. Yes, this is important. So we first put the brackets around 54 and 6. But how could we write it like this? We could write it like this because whole numbers are associative under addition. Okay, let's quickly solve this now. 54 plus 6 is 60 and 60 plus 58 is 118. Here are two more similar problems on our screen. Why don't you try solving them first? In the first problem, adding first and the third numbers will give us zeros in the end, as 7 plus 3 is 10. And this will make our calculation easier. Again, we first put the bracket around the second and the third numbers first. Then we use the commutative property of whole numbers to swap their positions. Then we use the associative property again to put the bracket around 433 and 67. Finally, we solve them. This addition gives us the answer as 500. We added this number to 28 to get 528. In the second problem, there are 4 numbers, but the method here is the same. It is easier to add the first and the third numbers and the second and the fourth numbers. So we need to swap the positions of the second and the third numbers first. In the first step, we put the bracket around them. This is the same as this because of the associative property. In the next step, we commute the numbers and solve it. It's quite easy to solve it further now, so I will leave this for you to complete. You should get the answer as 4,600. In the next part of this lesson, we will see how we can use more than one property of whole numbers for multiplication.